Next up in our Big Ten preview is the Purdue Boilermakers, who came off a disappointing first year under Ryan Walters as their head coach, going 4-8. The 2 years before, they had a 17-10 record combined that included a Big Ten West Division title. It wasn't really as successful, obviously. It's really hard to narrow down, Dalton, what went wrong for them last year, because they were outside the top 100 in the FBS in both offensive and defensive grading, and then they lost some key players in both the draft and the transfer portal, which means they need some inexperienced players to step up in order for their Boilermakers to, come close to making a bowl game in 2024. I will say the biggest strength of this team is probably the offensive line. They returned 3 of their starting offensive linemen from last year. 2 of them, their right tackle, Marcus and Bow, and their center, Gus Hartwig, earned 70-plus grades. The other 2 spots will be manned by New Mexico transfer DJ Wingfield and Ball State transfer Corey Stewart. Wingfield was 10th among Group of 5 tackles with a 79.4 grade. Stewart earned an 80.7 pass blocking grade. So I think the offensive line is pretty solid. The weakness, though, is where will the offense come from? Because obviously the offensive line is not going to do much in terms of scoring touchdowns for you out there. They have serious concerns everywhere on their offense. 107th in receiving grade, and they just lost their top 4 pass catchers as well, including a really, really good one in Deion Burks going to Oklahoma. So you're already at a bad receiving core, and you lose your top 4 pass catchers. Their star running back, Tyrone Tracy, now in the New York Giants, he's gone as well. And Hudson Card returns, but he's more of a solid quarterback than anything spectacular for Purdue out there, Dalton. So tell me more about Hudson Card. What will he be like in his second year now as Purdue's starting quarterback?
So what you see from Card is there's a little bit of inconsistent, but he operates best as kind of the point guard, right? He had the 6th best grade in the country last year on throws under 10 yards, like very good on third down when he's getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He can move a little bit, but you'd really prefer him to work the quick game and work this offense to where it's just move the chains, right? Just move the chains. The effectiveness when he starts throwing vertically goes pretty far downhill, right? He completed just 41.3% of his 10-plus yard passes last season, which just isn't good enough. It's outside the top 90 among FBS quarterbacks last year. They need to find a vertical element, right? Like it's great that he's good in the quick game and he can throw 7 to 9 yard passes all night long, but eventually you have to get downfield. And the problem is he's not going to do it improvising either, right? Like sometimes he's just kind of a little bit loose with the football late in the play. He fumbled 10 times last year, which were the 3rd most by any player in the Big Ten, and just a 52.5 passing grade when moved off of his spot. Quick game, short throws, move the chains. If they can find any sort of vertical element to this offense, it'll raise the ceiling for sure. But that's really what you see from Hudson Card is he operates best as just quick, get rid of the football kind of point guard quarterback.
Yeah, and he's got a really good tackle at right tackle protecting him in Marcus Bow, who was a starting right guard for the Boilermakers in 2022, played right tackle this past season, continued to grade out really well, had a 70-plus grade in each of the last 2 years, was one of 4 Big Ten tackles in 2023 who was top 10 in both pass blocking and run blocking grade, only allowed a knockdown rate of 0.8%, which was 4th in the conference. So if you don't know, knockdowns are sacks plus hits, basically. So moves really well at 6'5", 305 pounds, has the upper body strength to displace defenders in the run game. He did suffer a serious leg injury last year that ended his season in the 6th game of his redshirt junior season, so you want to see him bounce back from that. But he's a good player both as a pass blocker and run blocker, and is one of the better tackles that we have in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, on defense, they have one of the better, if not maybe arguably the best safety in the country. One of my favorite players in the country. I beg you to just put on another rant about this guy for me. But Dillon Thieneman, their free safety, man, this is a freak of nature. We had him 3rd in our top 10 safeties in the country this year. Just the speed out of this world. I've said it before. I think he's got better range than 80% of NFL safeties right now. And to lead the nation, to be second in the nation in overall grade among safeties as a true freshman last year is just freaky, man. 6 interceptions, a perfect game athleticism score of 100. This dude just is everything you want in a free safety. He's got range out of this world. He's hard hitting. Could be a little bit better tackler, but that comes more from the over-aggression. And even you see his run D grade was top 5 with a 90.2. This is for the 2026 class, along with Caleb Downs. this is one of the premier defensive players to watch right now and for that class in the entire country. You know me, I absolutely love Dillon Thieneman back there at free safety for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, it's not hard to see why, man. He was special as a true freshman last year. So Purdue lost a projected first-round defender in Nick Scorton in 2025, but they bring back a projected first-round defender in 2026 with Dillon Thieneman. All right, bottom line time now, Dalton. Obviously, a disappointing year for them in the first year under Ryan Walters, going 4-8 after having a pretty good previous 2 years. What will it look like in 2024? Will it look like more of the same of last year, or do you think it'll be a bit of a bounce back for the Boilermakers?
This is tough because you lost your top running back in Tyrone Tracy. You lost your top receiver in Deion Burks, right? And you lose at a primetime pass rusher in Nick Scorton. Like that's a big loss. Now Thieneman's primetime, and maybe they can find a way to score some points, but pretty much it's hard for me to see offensively, as conservative as they are, how they're going to keep up against the better defenses. Because Hudson Card, I believe there was some cutoff where it was like if he had a 70+ passing grade, they actually looked pretty good as a team, and if he didn't, it was just a mess offensively. So it's hard for me to see where the progress is going to come on offense. I could still see their defense, especially the secondary, being fine. Like they run a lot of man coverage, a little different than a lot of other teams, and you've got Thieneman back there just ball hawking. But can they score? Can Hudson Card throw it more past the sticks and make bigger plays that can they find chunk plays, right? It's tough to project their offense right now, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it was a rough year last year, and they have so many key players departing the program as well. It's going to be an uphill battle for Ryan Walters and his team to make a bowl game this year. I really do. I don't think this team is making a bowl game in 2024 just because there's so many losses offensively. You lose a superstar pass rusher, like you said, Nick Scorton, and you play the 9th hardest schedule in the country as well. So an unforgiving schedule that Purdue's got. They got Notre Dame in September. They got to play. They got to play Nebraska. They got to play Wisconsin. Got to play Oregon. Got to play Ohio State. Got to play Penn State. Like this is not an easy schedule for Purdue at all. So it's going to be tough for me to see the Boilermakers making a bowl game in 2024. So that's what we got on Purdue's 2024 season preview. Again, we're doing this for every single one of the 70 Power 5 teams. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single one.